Enough close-mindedness and rigidity from you preachers. Now, what if the woman who rebelled against the husband, father, or brother is not able to subsist on Rambo's glass of water or his job opportunities? What will she do? This is where Gorel steps in to offer usurious loans to meet her needs. But what if she cannot pay them back? She will be thrown in prison just like the man. After all, they are equal. Consequently, we end up with a group of garamat, indebted women. As this is an Islamic label, Islam will be called upon. O Islam, whom we have set aside and violated in all that preceded, whose advocates were described as close-minded and oppressive to women. Come and solve the problem of indebted women. Persuade people that paying off women's usurious debts is zakat, obligatory charity, and that they must please Allah by paying money to Gorel. For your information, in some small Muslim countries, you will find tens of thousands of such indebted women. What if people's faith and chivalry has dwindled in recent times? What if they no longer care about zakat or indebted women? That's when the Muslim woman starts following her Western sister's footsteps. We will see her do everything and bow in every direction for money. Just as we discussed in the previous episode on Western women. Now, dear viewers, after this story of Rambo, Gorel, and the glass of water, let's not rush to reject the offer. Let's give them a chance and ask them, our charitable neighbors, the Rambos, before saving our women. Allow us to ask you 4 questions to check your qualifications for this Rambonian mission. First question: have you saved your own women? Did you save the college girl who sells her honor to whoever pays her bills? The woman who is subjected to violence in every place and time, according to the European Union Agency? Did you save your women from sexual harassment in transportation, schools, universities, offices, and clinics? Did you save the women forced into prostitution because, as they put it, of the inadequacy of the social security system? Did you save those forced by their employers to wear indecent clothes to attract customers? Did you save the savagely battered women who constitute 1/4 of your societies? Did you save women from sexual objectification? Did you save the rape victims who suffer devastating impacts as your studies show? Did you save the victims of broken families, the runaway and homeless children, male and female, numbered in the millions, who are exploited by sex traffickers? Have you saved the millions of aborted girls and those thrown away in baby boxes? Aren't your women and girls more deserving of your chivalry, support, and grants? Honorable Rambos? This is your present-day situation confirmed by your statistics. Is this the successful example from your countries that you want to export to the Islamic world? I mean, we are not talking about possible outcomes if Muslim women follow in your footsteps. We are not talking about projections or ancient history. We are talking about a current existing reality, documented with your own figures and reports. That was the first question, Honorable Rambos. Did you save your women before coming to save ours? Second question: are you this distressed about the Muslim woman, Rambos, that you're coming to our countries to save her? Frankly, we are unable to thank you enough. May Allah reward you in accordance with your intentions. Is it possible, before you come for the women in our countries, to make a stop and check on other Muslim women who may have a greater need for your help? Try saving them first, your honors. Then, if you succeed, you can come over to complete the mission of salvation. I will not talk about Muslim women in our region, whose houses are destroyed over their heads, almost daily, by aerial bombings, without any coverage by the media as if they were invisible. I won't talk about the women of Chechnya, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Srebrenica, who were raped in the presence of United Nations forces. I won't talk about issues past, no. Since you are so broken-hearted about the Muslim woman, and keen on her well-being, All we want from you, Rambos, is to save the thousands of Uyghur Muslim women in East Turkestan, whose children are snatched by Chinese authorities, raised as orphans, and forced to grow up as non-believers. The Muslim mothers are imprisoned just for practicing their religion. Perhaps you haven't heard about these women. That's okay, let us help you out by sharing the story of Ruqayya Farhat, a survivor of a Chinese prison camp. Ruqayya escaped from China by paying a large amount of money. She describes how Chinese forces arrested her and her students while they were memorizing the Quran. How they were all raped by the Chinese. How they unleashed police dogs on them. How they plucked out their nails, put out cigarettes on their bodies. How they hammered nails into their hands and threw those who died from torture in garbage bags. Why all that cruelty? Because they say, our Lord is Allah. Maybe Islam is not on your list of freedoms to be promoted, Rambos. Perhaps you have not seen what The Independent published about the Muslim Chinese women whose husbands are detained in concentration camps just for being Muslim, and who are forced to endure the presence of male Chinese soldiers in their homes for surveillance purposes and forced to share their beds with them. What is happening to Muslim women in China is not an old issue. Rather, it is at its peak nowadays. Current headlines in the media include Uyghur Muslims, persecution at its peak. Perhaps China is too big for you to handle. It may be difficult for you to interfere. That's okay, go to a small country like Burma, where Muslim women are burned alive and their children are hung on gallows. We cannot put up the photos because YouTube would delete the episode. But Hasina's look. This Muslim woman who witnessed the death of more than 50 of her Muslim brothers and sisters, and who was horrifically tortured herself, her look is enough. Add to that the many accounts of rape of Rohingya women by Myanmar armed forces. Perhaps you haven't seen this clip, Rambos. Please don't be distracted by the scenery and start taking photos. This clip is of hundreds of thousands of Muslim Rohingya women fleeing on foot from rape and incineration to Bangladesh, where they will try to survive in the camps of lingering death. We saw you, Rambos, in South Sudan, where you succeeded in getting a signature for Sada. Well, since you are in South Sudan, let's take a detour to Central Africa, where Muslim men and women are slaughtered with machetes by French-supported anti-Balaka militia in the presence of UN forces. Perhaps you did not know about all these women. Well, now you know. Please conclude the rescue mission to save these oppressed Muslim women before you come to our countries. Or is it that you only specialize in the elimination of discrimination against women, but you have no problem with the elimination of the women themselves? Why is it that when it comes to the killing, rape, eviction and torture of Muslim women, the most you do is condemn, if anything at all, and nothing changes on the ground? In contrast, when you're promoting freedom for zina, abortion, and homosexuality, and forsaking Kiwama, you follow up, enforce budgets and demand reports. The third question, dear Rambos, is: how can you be the solution when you are a large part of the problem? Isn't the octopus stretching out one of its many arms to give the Muslim woman a glass of water? The same one who stole, with his other arm and Garel's help, water from her tank? Aren't they both the cause of poverty, illiteracy, ignorance, and subjugation that many Muslim men and women endure? This, in turn, contributes to injustice by the woman towards herself and towards men and vice versa. Isn't it the same octopus who is corrupting morals, destroying values and fighting Islam, so that injustice and the absence of values become the norm in society? Do you truly care about women? Then refrain, just a little, from stealing their country's resources. Don't you carry the slogan of, I want to take the oil? The fourth question, dear Rambos, is: what gives you the right to set the standard by which you judge our societies? As Muslims, we have our own standards and values that govern our lives. Our standard is obedience to Allah. By establishing truth, justice and vicegerency on earth. To please and satisfy our Lord, to whom we return. This is what delineates for men and women their rights and responsibilities. And makes their relationship one of integration and cooperation. For righteousness and piety. Not one of rivalry, competition and conflict. A woman can be a homemaker, teacher, doctor or researcher. Any profession which allows her to uphold the values of obedience to Allah, truth, and justice. The nobleness of her profession is directly related to her achievement of these values. And you, Rambos, what do you have? Your rejection of true revelation means you have not established truth or justice. You carry the slogan of absolute freedom and equality. Yet you fail to apply it in your own societies. Especially as it pertains to women, as we detailed before. What do you have to offer us Muslims when you have failed in all that? Do you intend to reduce the Muslim woman to a deformed replica of the Western woman, whom you chew up, spit out, toy with, and degrade? Even if we assume you have good intentions, how can you save the Muslim woman when you despise her and all the constituents of her pride and honor? A woman in Islam is honored for her faith, piety, and morals, as well as her role in raising generations on these tenets. While you despise and oppose these tenets, you oppose faith, piety, and morals. So how can you save whom you despise and fight? Women in our religion are told by their Lord, what can be translated as, O mankind, we have created you from a male and a female, and made you into races and tribes, so that you may identify one another. Surely the noblest of you, in Allah's sight, is the one who is most pious of you. Quran translated meaning 49:13. Given that piety is worthless to you, Rambos, a pious woman must be worthless to you too. A woman's value in Islam, as decreed by Allah, is in matters which mean nothing to you. Brothers and sisters, listen to this Quranic verse. And imagine what would it mean to the UN, Sada, the Beijing Declaration, women rights organizations, or any girls out there. Allah says, what can be translated as, surely for Muslim men and women, believing men and women, devout men and women, truthful men and women, patient men and women, humble men and women, charitable men and women, fasting men and women, men and women who guard their chastity, and men and women who remember Allah often, for all of them. Allah has prepared forgiveness and a great reward. Quran 33:35. All of this is meaningless to the Rambos. Believing, devout, truthful, patient women, humble, charitable, fasting women, women who guard their chastity, and remember Allah often. All of this is trivial for the Rambos. And women thus characterized are of no value to them. On the contrary, the Rambos are keen on making women unchaste and immoral, as we have seen. So how is a woman valued according to the Rambos? In practice, by the woman's physical attractiveness and potential for sexual objectification as shown. Whereas the publicized values are, the woman as a money maker, an employee in the various fields, who is proving her ability to compete with the man. That is why the Rambos, along with Gorel's media in Muslim countries, are keen on portraying the woman whose role is to educate her children and care for her family as an unproductive housewife. The Rambos criticize the low percentage of women in the workforce, per their statistics, and consider housewives as a marginalized group. At the same time, they highlight the success of working women, regardless of their field. The first female truck driver, the first female gas station attendant, the first female mechanic to set up a car shop, And repair men's cars. The first female sanitation worker. Any job will do. All that matters is that women are working. The woman at home working on her children's psychological, intellectual and spiritual development. Providing a place of refuge and serenity for her children and husband. Instilling the values of obedience to Allah, truth, justice, and morality. This woman, to the Rambos, is unproductive. Jobless. Unemployed. The woman upholding the faith, morals and sound character. Is of little value to you, Rambos. Because faith, morals, and soundness of character, are meaningless to you. What about the pious Muslim working woman, the doctor, teacher, and researcher? Who utilizes her work to uphold faith and establish higher values? She has no added value and does not deserve the spotlight. Because her values are worthless to the Rambos and Gorels. In fact, they are unwanted values. Unless they are common human virtues completely detached from their religious roots and the comprehensive Islamic viewpoint. Just recently, a renowned visual artist was denied a managerial position. Because she wears a veil. What if, dear Rambos? As a result of the loose morals you helped instill, and the desire-fueled environments you encourage, the woman is subjected to things which harm her religion or morals? Like what? Like romantic feelings between young women and men who cannot afford to get married. Because you and Gorel stole their country's wealth. The resultant prohibited sexual affairs and disobedience to Allah. And all the expected outcomes from affairs outside of marriage. If it's with her consent, then no problem. She is free and equal to the man. As for Allah's boundaries, prohibitions, Sharia, Islamic law, all these don't concern us. This is why you will never find, among the many Rambo grants to save women, a single grant for facilitating marriage of women. Or a grant titled educating women to raise pious children. For a virtuous work environment for both genders. You will find, however, many grants for women's employment. Where? In the corrupt workplaces they helped create. You won't find a grant for providing separate transportation for women. Or suitable work environments for women separate from men. On the contrary, separation is considered as discrimination against women. Okay, Rambos. What if Muslim women were subjected to sexual harassment and exploitation in these workplaces? Where's the problem in that? Our women are subjected to harassment too. All problems pale in comparison to the benefit of women's employment. In the Rambos view. If you are worried about pregnancy, don't be. We've recommended the decriminalization of abortion. Abortion may be a bitter pill to swallow at first. But soon, you'll willingly throw your babies into the garbage. Trust us, we're the experts. You want to save the Muslim women, Rambos? I swear, we should be the ones saving your women. We recite Allah's words, what can be translated as, you are the best nation produced for mankind, Quran 3:110. For all mankind. We also recite, had Allah not repelled a group of people by the might of another, corruption would have dominated the earth, Quran translated meaning 2:251. We've seen your corruption. We should be rescuing your women, as we recite. And we have not sent you, Muhammad, except as a mercy to the worlds. Quran translated meaning 21:107. You know what? If we ever witness the rise of a true and pure Islamic entity that represents Islam, Muslims should give Western women the right of asylum to the Islamic world. Even if they don't convert to Islam. Every honorable woman who wants to protect her virtue from your corruption, and her dignity from your humiliation, Rambos, should be granted the right of asylum to Muslim countries. Because protecting human dignity is a main goal of Islamic law. Even for non-Muslims. By Allah's grace, while in the U.S., I participated in activities to introduce foreigners to Islam. I still remember the happy moment when a woman from Houston converted to Islam. You Rambos want to save Muslim women. This is beyond ridiculous. I swear by Allah, brothers and sisters, we should grieve that we have sunk so low. That through our injustice towards one another we encouraged these Rambos to set themselves up as judges between us. This has got to be a motivation for us all, as believers, to abide Allah's command. Hold fast to Allah's rope altogether, do not split into factions. Remember Allah's favor to you, you were enemies. And then He brought your hearts together and you became brothers by His grace. You were about to fall into a pit of fire and He saved you from it. In this way Allah makes His revelations clear to you, so that you may be rightly guided. Quran translated meaning 3:103. Be a community that calls for what is good. QTM 3:104. So, now they call us to their falsehood? Is this how low we've sunk? No, we should call them to our path. Be a community that calls for what is good, urges what is right, and forbids what is wrong. Those who do this are the successful ones. QTM 3:104. The Rambo's intervention is sufficient humiliation, in and of itself, to make us return to our senses. To make us, men and women, stop treating each another unjustly. Any form of injustice between us is an invitation for the Rambos and Gorels to interfere. Back to our starting point. To connect the end of this episode to the start of the previous one. Please note, brothers and sisters, that the first headquarters of the UN, who tracks the ratification of CEDAW, was constructed on land bought by Nelson Rockefeller, whose family sits at the top of the capitalism pyramid and influences American policy. We end this episode by addressing the Rambos. Leave it to us and we will solve our own problems, by returning to Allah's book, the Quran, and His Prophet's tradition. Then is it the judgment of ignorance they desire? But who is better than Allah in judgment for a people who are certain? QTM 550. What are the characteristics of our solution? We will discuss that in the next episode, Allah willing. We conclude by reciting Allah's words, what can be translated as: Allah intends to explain to you and to guide you to the ways of those before you, and to turn graciously towards you. Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. Allah intends to turn graciously towards you, while those who follow desires want you to deviate from the right path, a huge deviation. Allah intends to make things easy on you, and man has been created weak. Quran 4:26-28. May the peace of Allah be upon you.